So, let's first start off with some introductions.
My name is Sinclair Walker. Gang, gang. I am from Riverside, California.
Hey.
California. Hey,
knows how to
party. Hey. My mission, and I feel like while I'm on this planet, is to help us take our personal health responsibility back and kind of empower everybody to take a proactive approach to their health so that we can change some of those statistics and we can really thrive as a people.
I'm her husband. You know me, I'm her husband. But Devon Chevelle, also known as Devon Walker, also alumni of UC Davis. Proud creator of Black Wall Street, the board game. The queen is very passionate about the health side of things and how we are, the number one when it comes to heart disease and, heart attack, cancer rates, all of that. When we look at wealth, we are the number infinity, or the number, like the last ones when home ownership, business ownership, and just overall family wealth. So that's why we created Black Wall Street, the board game. And that's one of my passions, to help more entrepreneurs and more Black families create wealth. But also another passion is diving deep into the Black history. Right? I feel like growing up as a kid in elementary school, middle school, high school, we don't learn about ourselves, about our ancestors until maybe we go to college and take an AAS class and learn about that stuff, but it's not taught to us or given to us freely in K-12. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Want to do this series? Why? Like, what was the purpose of you guys, making sure that this needed to happen?
I love documenting things, right? And I feel like every vacation we do, I'm always with the camera in people's face. Every time we have like a big kind of business milestone, whether it's a good one or a bad one, like I'm there with the camera documenting it, because I think it's good for us to learn from the voyage. I think it's good to be able to share this story and nuggets with other people who may be on a similar trip. But this one in particular, I want for the babies, right? Kendry, Delton, Dwight, like we named all y'all before y'all were even remotely in this universe. So to be able to watch this and see that intention, I think would be a dope experience, right? Like knowing yourself, like the fact you can see us and talk about you before you even hear, I feel like is a powerful, movie or a documentary.
What's it called? The Last Dance documentary. Yeah. Like we were watching that and we were like, this is so cool that they even fought. Like when they saw Michael, they saw, the team, and they knew that this was gonna be history. And so that's why they started documenting it. And now, however many years later, 20 something years later, I see the chills. Do you feel your chills? I do. Yeah. It's actually actualized into something that we're all able to watch and go through the journey. So I feel like we realize, I guess in our confidence, in our manifesting, we know that we're about to be somewhere. We're about to make, our dreams come true.
Let's start with this. How would each of you describe your love in 3 words?
Number 1 word. Listen, I told you this is gonna be the best one yet. Number 1 word, corny. All right. I feel like both of us, I feel like me a little bit more. I feel like I'm slightly cornier than you, but I feel like that's what kind of pulled you in a little bit. You're like, oh, he funny, he corny. I feel like we're naturally corny people, and I feel like when we come together, our love is kind of that corny, quirky type of love. So corny for sure would be number 1. Number 2. The phrase iron sharpens iron or steel sharpens steel, like that's the phrase that I think describes our love. The fact that when we first met, college, I wasn't the most moral person, I'll say that. I feel like I was doing some things like in high school, a little bit trickled into college, but I feel like when I met Sinclair, it was like she pushed me to want to be a better person. She pushed me on to, if I see some money on the floor, I'm going to hand that money to a person. This just happened like 2 weeks ago too at Costco. Dude dropped a $50 bill and I was like, oh, sir, here you go, you dropped your money. I feel like old school Devon would have been like, slide that 50, go back in the Costco. You didn't even contemplate it now. No, didn't even think about it. I was like, hey bro, you dropped that. Number 3. Let me think about this one. Number 3. How appropriate I want to be.
Genuine. So I feel like something that one of the reasons why we are so close to the point where like we'd be finishing sentences, like we're very close. But I think that the reason why we're so close and the reason why we like spending as much time together as we do is because we allow ourselves to be the 100% like individual selves. And that's what we've fallen in love with. Powerful. If it was in a movie or something where it was like there's some love stories that are written in the stars, and then there are other love stories that, it was This Is Us.
Yeah.
It was like two people who had lost their original spouses and ended up falling in love with each other and getting remarried. And they were saying like, I realized that our love wasn't necessarily one that was written in the stars, but it was we were writing it in the stars, like actively. And he looked at me, I remember he was like, too bad that's not us. Ours was written in the stars. And I feel like that's true. So I feel like our love is kind of like a destiny, in that we are going to inspire other people with our love. We're gonna bring other people into the love with our children, but even just with what we're trying to do with the world. Like we do what we do because we love ourselves, but because we love other people as well. So that's why we dedicate our lives to try to help other people thrive.
Does love in general come with sacrifice? Is this something that must always be there?
Yes. I think love definitely comes with sacrifice. And you know the story that's in my head.
No.
No? It's on your finger.
Story. Oh, yes.
When we first met, like back in 2011, maybe I asked this 2012, I was like, early, if I proposed to you with a ring pop, would you say yes? And she was like, nah, like you need to come with a rock. I need some bling. And I was like, all right, noted. 2012, like we barely started dating then. But
show me what I'm worth.
Yeah, I got you, Queen. I got you. But later on, after I graduated college and had all right, I'm gonna propose. Now, how the heck am I gonna afford a ring? All right, she already said years ago she wants a rock. So how can I make sure that she feels the love, she feels the worth that she's definitely worth as a goddess, as a galactic queen, as a beautiful melanated soul that she is? How can I make sure that she gets way more than a ring pop? So
I love when the story starts off with
listen here. But the sacrifice that I was making was I ate oatmeal for 3 meals a day for about 6 months, right? And this was saving up money. I lived with my grandma, shout out to Grandy, she still charged me rent, but it was less than usual. With that lifestyle, with living with my grandmother, with eating oatmeal with a little bit of peanut butter 3 times a day, like I was able to stack up racks to be able to buy this beautiful rock that we got later on. And it was kind of funny because at the proposal, I did have a whole bunch of ring pops around just as the joke. But then I presented the big ring. And then even when I showed it to your mom beforehand, she was like, oh, that's nicer than I was expecting. I was like, yeah, I've been sacrificing. You know what I'm saying? I've been eating this oatmeal for 6 months to get this rock.
It should not be one-sided sacrifice. And of course, there may be temporary situations where one person, like you said, I wasn't sacrificing during that time. I was eating good, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even know what was happening.
There was a time, and you didn't know, but like you asked me, like, oh, what are you eating for lunch? I was like, oh, I'm eating oatmeal. She's like, what? And then like the next week or something, you ordered me groceries. And you had no idea I was saving for your ring, but you still like ordered groceries for me. And there was another time where you had lunch delivered, I think. So you were still sacrificing or helping me when I was sacrificing. You didn't even know.
There you go.
Tell us the story of how you guys.
We met the first day on orientation. And so, they did some little welcome thing, and then they started off with an icebreaker right away. And so they were like, all right, go find a partner. We're gonna play bingo. I think it was bingo, right? It was like like bingo, where it's like, match things up with what you know, or something like that, some game like that. So, got up, backstory, had a boyfriend at the time. But
told y'all my morals when I first got to college, but I'm a better person now, that's all I'm saying. Right.
It all worked out. So I get up and I'm just walking around trying to find a partner or whatever. And I'm like shy, I'm introverted, so am I necessarily going to be the one like, hey, do you want to be a partner? No, just looking for someone to like lock eyes with, where it's like, and then you go sit down. But then I hear this voice, this deep voice. He was like, you want to be my partner?
Oh,
I looked over and I was like, sure, he looks friendly. So I sit down, we chop it up, and I do remember having like a very good conversation. I remember laughing. Like, one of the things that drew me into him, has always drawn me into him, is how he makes me laugh. He's extremely funny, just naturally. So, and I do remember.
Say it one more time.
You are extremely funny.
All right, I just want to make sure we got that solidly
I've never
on camera.
not said you're funny.
Right.
I just also think that I'm funny. Anyways,
persistence is key, y'all. Right? So obviously at first she had a boyfriend. I respected that. Like, we didn't cross like those lines in that way. But I was doing my corny little pickup lines every single day, probably 8 times a day. Right? And it was just like, the Grand Canyon was created over millions of years of a nice water stream going through rock, and eventually it carved through that rock and created the what's it called? Attraction or seven grand things.
Of the world, I don't know, whatever it is. Monument.
Eventually that water thing created the monument that is the Grand Canyon. So, you know, through my millions of corny lines, we were able to create the monument that is DeClair.
So there was one day I was wearing a dress. It was a black dress. I love that dress. It had some flowers down the side.
Yes, it did.
So I was wearing it, and I don't know, we were studying or something or whatever. We were actually
we were walking from, I think, Wall Main to Campbell Hall. You were walking in front. I was behind you. Continue.
See, he those specifics.
Vivid.
He's like, I remember that dress.
Vivid.
Oh, I just remember what he said because I was dying. He was like, he looks at me, he goes, damn, I wish I could be a bee right now. Buzz, buzz, buzz.
All right. So it is 4th of July, 2019. We get married in 3 days, 4 days? 3 days. On 7/7. How you feeling?
Very excited.
Very excited. It's been slightly stressful. We've been juggling trying to buy a house. We've been juggling the wedding. People calling last minute saying they're not gonna come, but we are happy to have a house full of folks in here behind us. Hopefully they're gonna come in a little later and give us some love. It's gonna be a fun weekend. It's gonna be a great day. Yeah, it's gonna be a great everything. Yeah. So stay tuned. Marriage, Declare Love, 2019. I still don't have a ring, by the way.
You're not supposed to. This whole thing is for our wedding.
Should show your ring. I have sand in my face.